Hello, I'm John Brink and we are podcasting on the Brink from northern British Columbia. An absolute fabulous place, beautiful day today in midsummer, virtually June of 2023. And again, if you ever plan a holiday to Canada, come to BC, especially to northern BC. Today we have a special guest and his name is Tuftin. Chase, welcome on the show.
Hi, John. Honored to be here.
So, we've known each other already for a while.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born in Prince George, and I was raised on a ranch west of town. My family still lives out there, horse ranch.
Okay.
So I went to school west of town and
Where?
Beaverly Elementary, actually.
Beaverly, west of the city of Prince George.
Yeah, and it's interesting because where I live and where I teach boxing now is in the exact neighborhood of the school. So I grew up in that neighborhood, running around, biking.
Imagine that.
It's funny. Yeah.
Now, your last name is Tuftin,
Yeah.
Tuftin.
Exactly, yeah.
Where does it come from?
It's Norwegian. So on my grandfather's side, strong Norwegian genes in the family. So not myself necessarily, but my dad and his siblings and my grandpa, they're all these giant men, like over 6 foot tall and 200 pounds. And
What happened to you?
my mom, my mother's a beautiful, amazing lady, but I got a bit of a mix of them. She's knee high.
Yeah. Interesting, eh? And then, if you got siblings or?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I technically have 4 siblings. I have a half sister.
Okay.
And then I have 2 younger sisters and a younger brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
All in the neighborhood too, or in BC?
All in Prince George. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
So the whole family kind of stayed together.
That's right. And my grandparents live 5 minutes from my parents' house. So family gatherings all the time, and it's beautiful.
It feels like Europe. I I was born in Holland in 1940, and and then when I grew up, Holland relatively small. Have you been there?
No, I've never
No,
been.
it's very small, smaller than what I would kind of feel like is like Vancouver Island. About 18 million, a lot of people there.
Wow.
So and the way it used to go. I was born in northeastern Holland. And in the province Groningen, Groning, Groningen.
Isn't that like the guy who created The Simpsons? Isn't that like his last name?
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Anyway,
what's his
sorry.
name? Starting with a G?
Yeah.
Groningen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, yeah. Probably, yeah. So, symphonies are very common there. For us here in Prince George to have a symphony is amazing. But staying on the topic, so what would happen to us, there we are in this little province, it would take about an hour to cross it at most, if that, from north to south, east to west, a small province, about 11 provinces in Holland.
Wow.
And then all my grandparents lived all within 20 minutes, 10 minutes. And the whole family lived there.
Yeah.
If you would go further than that and saying whoever is moving to some other place in Holland, like Amsterdam or Den Haag or wherever, you say, oh my God, why? How could that possibly happen?
Yeah, it's funny. British Columbia, we drive so far to get to different places, and then coming from a place like Holland, it's probably stark contrast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, when I came here in 1965, in the early times that I was in the 70s and 80s, it was not uncommon for us, or you, I'm sure, to say, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going to go to Vancouver.
Yeah, exactly. 9 hours driving.
9 hours driving.
Yeah.
And then 9 hours to come back, if you were lucky. If there were a lot of work being done on the road, and maybe longer than that.
Yeah.
Very common.
I love Van, and I have been there so much in the last 12 months. I'm just like, I can't do the drive anymore. I can't handle it.
Yeah.
For boxing competition and courses and stuff, we're going down there all the time, the whole team, and I'm just like, beautiful drive. And somehow I've grown tired of it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm hopping on a plane, guys. I'll see you there.
Yeah. It's a long way to go, really.
Long days.
So So you grew up really in the Prince George greater region. So you went to school here. And so what did you do then?
Yeah, so I attended school, high school. I actually went to CNC here in town, and I became a journeyman mechanic, an automotive mechanic. And that's what I did for 6-7 years after high school.
Just for the benefit of our listeners and watchers, they are watching from around the world. And so Prince George is the center of British Columbia. I usually say that. It's about 750 kilometers north of Vancouver, but it's only halfway. And it is also south to north is about 1,500 kilometers. East to west is about 1,500. Big place. And then Prince George is about a city of about 80,000 people. And, and CNC that you were referring to is the College of New Caledonia.
That's right.
One of the best colleges really in BC.
Yeah, you know what? The education facilities here in Prince George are incredible.
Yes.
I mean, they're renowned, so.
Yeah, and then adding to that, relatively new, around 25, 30 years ago, we got the University of Northern British Columbia, UNBC, which is the best small university in all of Canada.
Yeah.
Can you imagine,
It's amazing.
So tell us a little bit more. You went to CNC, you got your training.
Yeah, that's right. So I became a Red Seal mechanic. So let's just scoot back a little bit. Around the age of like 12, 13, I got, I was an athletic child, but I got pretty obsessive about it. And that's a word I would definitely use to describe myself, is obsessive. So,
so say that again, when you were 12 or 13?
Yeah, when I was 12 or 13, I started to become obsessed with working out and, challenging my body and changing it.
Yeah.
So actually at my parents' farm, in a little shed, I used to run a 100-foot extension cord and plug in a space heater, and I hung up a bag in the center of it. The shed could have been no more than like 8 by 8 and just enough room to move around a heavy bag. And as a kid, I would go out there in the middle of the winter, I'd hit that heavy bag. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So then after high school, the gym that I was going to actually, they had an employee there who was a boxing trainer, Dave Sponigal. Interesting character, and I owe a lot to him. But I started training boxing privately with him, and that's when I actually started to become an amateur boxer and learn what the sport really was.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but you already started to go in that direction when you were 12 or 13.
Yeah. I was...
Why boxing?
I think I was a bit of a fighter at heart all my life. I was kind of obsessed with it. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with medieval things, knights, Vikings, these things.
Right.
I loved it. I loved to see it. And boxing was what was being offered in the gym, so it worked out really well. But I always liked, there's something that's beautiful and savage about boxing. Everybody sort of understands it. Like when, anybody could see a boxing match and sort of understand what's happening. And then when I started to pay attention to it, I could start to see the fine details of it, the small things, the art of the sport, the beauty of it, the artistry. And I was enamored with it. And
see, a lot of people don't, including me, don't fully understand it. Although I've been in sports too. I got a brown belt in Judo when I was 17, 18. And, in Holland. And then I've been active in the gym and so doing a lot of biking. I did speed skating when I grew up, soccer playing, all of that. But it did not include boxing, although I've always liked boxing. I've been watching MMA,
MMA, yeah.
UFC.
That's right. I love it.
It's a bit violent, but but not really. There is a lot more to boxing than what it appears to be, because as a sport, it's a very, very good sport for your whole body, right, and physique.
Of course, yeah. So obviously we understand with boxing and with all martial arts, they're savage and they're very physical, and they're, those are the parts that are very easy to see. But I think that one of the most important parts for me is sort of the spiritual aspect of it, sort of the warrior's code that everybody who gets involved in a martial art begins to learn, which you probably felt in judo too. Like when you come to a boxing gym or a dojo, it's a little intimidating, but as you become familiar with it, it becomes like a family. And
Yeah.
you guys
very
are,
much so.
you're sweating together, you're bleeding together, and you're kind of becoming one. And I think that I personally, and I see a lot of people as well, they find themselves in martial arts. They learn about courage, and they learn about dedication and passion, and it's that's the part of it for me that like.
And we have had in the community some amazing boxers that have gone to
absolutely
quite up high
in
international competition.
There's a few amazing gyms in town, and amazing trainers as well. Like the martial arts scene here is very rich, and some people don't realize, but Kenny and Jag, they teach at Kite and MMA, both amazing boxers. Robin Grant, she trained with me this year, and she went to provincials and to nationals representing Prince George. And actually Quinnell has one of the best boxing gyms that I've ever seen. And Wally, he's the gentleman who runs it, the head coach. Incredible guy. Like what he does for boxing in northern BC is unbelievable.
And amazing, eh? So how does somebody become involved? For the young people that are watching us or other people, it is not limited to male or female?
No, not at all. I believe boxing's for everyone. And personally, I have quite a few female boxers in my gym, and I'll say they're some of my most courageous fighters. They have an unbreakable mentality, and they're just so willing to go and to risk it.
I see that on martial arts.
How does somebody get involved? Well, I think that the most important thing is make a decision and have the courage to step into something uncomfortable. At first, it's going to be weird, and you're going to suck, and you feel like you're not going to know anything. But if you stay committed and you continue to show up, you're going to evolve into, you're going to evolve in the sport, and you're going to learn something. And one day, before you know it, you're going to be proficient. And then down the road, people are going to be telling you, oh, like, how do I learn to box like you or do judo like you? And it'll blow your mind, because you'll be thinking, well, I'm still kind of a beginner, but people will look at you and see that proficiency.
And then it is more than just hitting each other. It's the whole body. You have to be physically in shape, mentally in shape.
Absolutely.
You have to be aware of diet and all those things directly, indirectly related, right?
Well, I think, to become a casual boxer, it takes a lot. It's cardio, it's hard muscular work. You're going to get tired shoulders, but a casual athlete, but especially a competition athlete, that's where it becomes a lot different, where the mind starts to play and the emotion and the heart starts to really come into it. And of course, like weight cutting and stuff, it's just, it becomes a part of everything. So.
Now, the other thing that I never quite understood is that you get gloves. I think what have you got in the bag?
It's a secret surprise for later.
Okay,
but it's not. It's not gloves.
Okay, so if I see people with gloves, then there are bigger gloves, and if somebody starts and saying, okay, I want to be there in the boxing, but I don't want somebody to just kind of knock me right over and I'm laying on the floor like I'm out, or, but they start out really with making sure that they get physically ready, not in shape. That probably takes time. And then gradually start hitting the bag a bit, but then at the same time physically get in that.
So absolutely. In my gym and the way that I teach, we do a lot of person-to-person work, a lot of partner work, and I think it's critical, because I really want students to understand how to be engaged with somebody else. And it starts very early for me. I think that what is really important is, like, old school boxing gyms, and the way it used to be is, like, sure enough, you'd have a guy with a flattened nose, and he would tell you, okay, we're going to get in here, and then, you get rocked around a bit, and it's, scary. But the more modern sort of teaching is a lot better. And I think that when you find a safe space and a safe gym with good coaches, you're going to be introduced into combat, into contact with somebody else in a way that's gradual. And that's what I like to do. I like to start very slow, having people move together and learning what it's like to move together very slow. Nobody
Right.
gets hit hard,
Yeah.
just touching. And then we gradually increase the speed of the environment as they become more comfortable and they get used to it.
Yeah. And then what in particular is important? You have all different levels, but it's not like, what I said with judo. It's, it's yellow to orange, or to green, to orange, to,
Right.
brown, and then onto black.
So I'm also a jiu-jitsu athlete. That's something I've been practicing recently, where you're choking each other out, and
I like it, yeah.
yeah, it's very cool. Judo goes handsomely with it, actually.
Yeah.
And they have a colored belt system, and I think that there's something about the belt system that's so rewarding,
Yeah.
and it's something that I have been feeling as a business owner and coach. It's something that's missing from boxing, like when people put in time and they dedicate themselves and they become better, it's so beautiful to see people in that moment where they get the next belt, you're a judo brown belt, and what a moment to get your belt upgraded.
Exactly. And
So-
I was at the time, was before I went into the Air Force, so I was about 17.
Yeah.
And I was a brown belt.
Right. And I think that sort of ranked system is something that I would like to see in boxing. And I know some gyms actually, they create and trademark their own systems with different colors, and it's great for kids and it's great for everybody. But I love the belt system, and I think that boxing would do well to have something like that.
So as you then go further, say a young person, and and then just at the ages that for kids things are delicate and difficult. A lot of girls, we are also, both my wife, myself, we ride English dressage. We have horses.
Amazing.
A lot of young girls are involved in that. But in boxing also could be now, in particular, not used to be, but now more so, women are getting involved in that sport as well.
Yeah.
But if young people do, and once they start reaching, having that body right, and feeling that they know how to interact in the ring,
Absolutely.
because it has a whole set of rules. You have to understand and physically how to interact, and if it is competitive, as to how to measure two competitors together.
Yeah.
Not that you get, I was involved once with Braden.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, Cruz, who, a young fella, I did podcast, I believe.
Yeah.
And I know his mom very well, Shannon.
Yeah.
And, and I then go down to your arena.
That's right.
And had the opportunity to spar with him.
Yeah.
And then for you to give me some instructions. I thought it was great,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, amazing athlete, Braden. Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic.
And so
fantastic
they
skill
have a
set.
young person that has worked his way through that and had become not just a hobby, but more than that. And I felt that I had that at the time that I was involved in judo, that I was getting to the level, the same as skating actually. I was quite good in speed skating on the local level, and really enjoyed it. And then the same with judo. And to have for young people in particular the goals of getting involved in a sport, may it be judo, may it be jiu-jitsu, may it be boxing, that is physically active for them. It's good physically active, but also mentally and in terms of gaining confidence.
Yeah, well, it's stimulating. I think that for kids, and even for myself when I was a young man, 18, 19, I think that having a sport or something that you grow to love and that you become sort of like myself obsessed with, it can lead you into a path in life that you can then become proud of. Like, it keeps kids away from doing things with their time that would be less useful and less productive. Myself especially, I didn't have time anymore to party and mess around with the friends that I had at that time, because I was obsessed with boxing, and I didn't have any plan to become pro, but I was like, oh man, I really want to get better, and I want to stop getting hit by this guy. And so I spent my time training and watching videos, and then it was like, sorry, I got to go to sleep at 10 because I need to get my sleep. So I think, something else you said is teaching them confidence. And I find that to be the most important thing for me, and something that's really important to me. Confidence, dedication, passion. If I could tell a quick story, it's about one of my favorite athletes. I've had him for quite some time at my gym now. So this young man, I think he was 14, he has his first fight and he loses. And I wouldn't say it was a devastating loss, but it was a hard loss. Yeah. He trained very hard and the loss happened quickly. He wasn't ready for how intense it was going to be, and the fight got stopped. So heartbreaking moment, but very important to have that heartbreaking moment. Yeah. He came straight back to the gym and we worked diligently. Yeah. He had an opportunity for another fight. We trained, we practiced, we go to the fight, it falls through. He can't fight. Yeah. Okay. Same thing happens again at the third fight. Yeah. So he's on this journey, he's training his heart out, and like he wants to be good, but he's scared because of his first experience. And then finally his fourth fight, it's probably been a year and a half by this point. And he's trained so hard. He's put everything into this competition because he knows what it's going to take, how hard it is. Yeah. And the fight was amazing. Both athletes did really well. And at the end of it, in the blue corner, and he gets his hand raised, and like just the emotion. Like, he came into the back and he had his trophy, and he's a strong young man, and he didn't want to show it, but the tears are coming down, and then suddenly the tears are coming down my face. We've been on this year-long journey together. Absolutely. And man, I replay that moment in my head, and I just think if I can give that to even just a few young people in this town, then you know what, then everything, all the hardship, every hardship of entrepreneurship, it's all worth it.
And always, and already this one you have, I wrote a couple of books, and I'm going to give you this one. I'm going to sign it a little bit later. Fantastic. But the one that I did give you is this one, Against All Odds.
Yeah, I have that.
And for my guest watching, I used to show it a lot of times. And this book, I have to tell you first, I was not very successful in academically. I failed grade 3. I say to my guests, usually I say, nobody fails grade 3. Now, just today I had a lady here, and she said, my grandmother did. I said, oh my God, there's 2 of us. Yeah. Anyway, then I failed grade 7 3 times. Wow. And then he said, well, what are you going to do with this guy? And my parents, I loved them dearly. And, so people said, well, maybe you have to send them to the mentally challenged school. Fortunately, they didn't do that. Mm-hmm. And they got me a job in a furniture factory, and then working, and then going in the evening to schools to become a furniture maker. And then I was quite successful I was good at skating, I was good at judo, obviously, but I failed. I kind of felt I had been a failure because in school, all my friends were going on to the higher grades, and then they went to university, and I was a laborer. And that's how people then thought about it. I don't think about that right now. Being a laborer is just perfect, why not? And whatever you feel good at and want to do, that's what counts. Anyway, I always felt that I had failed, and then I was born in 1940 during the war, liberated by the Canadians April the 12th, 1945. Wow. And things were tough and rough, hard for my family, for my mother. My dad was drafted in the Dutch army, and they didn't know if he was dead or alive for 5 years. Wow. And so she had to kind of struggle through that with 3 young kids. I was born in November 1940, and 5 when we were liberated. But things were rough when the last winter, the hunger winter from 1944-45, and so in any event, seeing far too much that we shouldn't have seen, affected by PTSD, affected by the inner child losing the parent or the guardian,
Right.
all of those things. And then obviously I was not successful academically, and it took me until I was the other dream that I had really was I wanted to go to Canada and start over new again, was my dream, to the land of my heroes. And then the other part was to build my own lumber mill. And so I was drafted into the Air Force in Holland when I was 18 rather, for 2 years. And then I left Holland when I was 24. Knew I wanted to build a mill in Canada. Knew I had to go to British Columbia. And then, then when I came to, couldn't speak the language, didn't know a soul, didn't have a job, obviously. And when I came to Vancouver, talked to a German fellow, told him what I wanted to do, and he said, go to Prince George.
Wow.
That's build a sawmill.
Right.
When I came out the bus here, I had $25.47. And I counted it 3 times. But underneath that, I write about I had is attitude, passion, work ethic.
Yeah.
What follows is success.
So why was the dream to own a lumber mill? Because that doesn't seem like an obvious dream.
Very good question. Is that my grandfather was a master carpenter. I had been exposed to what he had done and wanted to become a furniture maker.
Okay.
My dad managed a small lumber company, not his. So to me, it was obvious that I would go into the lumber side. I loved it.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to start over new again because I always felt that I could do it. But since I had no diplomas, in Holland it's always like, you want to get this job, and saying, okay, where are your diplomas? Well, I have no diplomas.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I wanted to start over new again. And so when I came off the bus here, $25.47, I knew it would be just a matter of time. I would build a mill. But the point that I was going to make, it took me till I was 57. The 23 years later after I came here, or 33 years later after I came here, and I walked into this store and I saw this book, Driven to Distraction. I don't know why I looked at it. And in the book, I read ADHD.
Okay.
And I said, oh my God, that's me. Can you believe it? It says January 1997 when I saw it.
Wow.
And that changed everything. And then from there on in, I started to obviously go. By then already I was quite successful. I had the lumber mill already had. Everybody said, oh my God, you're so successful. I didn't feel that way.
Right.
And then after I found that part out and then became more active in other things, I thought I have to write about it. So that's why I wrote this book, the autobiography. It's not about hurrah, hurrah, John, how successful he is.
Yeah.
You've seen it, you've read it, I know you did.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show more than anything that in spite of it all, and the key is falling down, standing up, starting over, never, never, ever give up. And that's the key of this book. It took me 80 years to live it, 20 years to think about it, 2 years to write it. But I felt I had an obligation to write about it.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. The path has definitely been winding and difficult. Even just a few short years of chasing your dream and taking the entrepreneur's path. It's really difficult, and you hear that it's going to be hard, but you don't understand just how hard it's going to be. And I'll tell you, there's times that I want to throw my hands up and just be like, it would just be so much easier to just get a job and go do something else. But I just can't now,
Exactly.
Come this far, and I'm like, I didn't come this far to only come this far.
And it takes somebody special to do that, because there is many, many reasons that can I keep going here? Can I push forward?
Right.
And that's what I found about it. And then, then this one with the ADHD, I always kind of felt I had to write about that because there was so much stigma attached to it.
Yeah, there certainly
And
is.
it still is to a certain
Right,
extent.
especially with young kids, you know, get
Yeah.
them dosed up on all sorts of medication and stuff, and
Exactly.
sort of take away who they are.
Exactly. And I felt I had to be more vocal about it.
Yeah.
And then not only speak about it, but also write about it. And so ADHD Unlocked, very popular actually, is around the world. So
Amazing.
yeah, and you know, the timing was very good. And now a lot of times when I'm going to get you a copy of that, and a lot of times with this, you know, when I talk about it in settings, there's virtually not a day that goes by that I don't encounter people that say, I think I have it too, or I have it. And what I say about the book, Chase, in particular, is that it's not so much that you may or you may not have it, but that it is virtually impossible not to encounter people that are affected by it.
Right.
And they're slightly different than a lot of other people, and to understand them is very helpful. But also in terms of being a slow learner or having attention issues,
Right.
you know, people that are affected by trauma. First Nations comes to mind,
Yeah,
but also other
absolutely.
people that have been affected by trauma subsequently are not very good learners or slow learners.
You know, that you saying that makes me it makes me very intrigued to read it, especially because I work with lots of kids and teens and different people, and you know, special people who've been through lots, or you know, have certain circumstances. And you know, I like to read. I don't read enough, but I would be very excited to read it.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a copy of this.
Amazing.
I also have the audio one, you know, and so what I find about it is that I call it the superpower. It's not a liability; it is the opposite. And if it were not for this, with all the things that I'm not saying hurrah, hurrah me because of how successful I am, but all the things that I've done, I could not have done unless I had ADHD.
Right. Right.
There's no question about
yeah,
that.
because of it, and maybe like slightly in spite of it. It's an amazing tale. You know, Teddy Atlas, famous boxing coach.
Yeah.
Amazing guy. I love listening to him.
Right.
But he says something that it strikes me, and I think about it often. Is, you know, he said that a fight is a chance to make life fair. So no matter what your circumstances are, no matter what's happened to you or where you've come from, you can put in the work, and when you get in that ring, you have a chance to make life fair for yourself. You have a chance to win. You have a chance to become a champion, or a, you know,
Exactly.
a fighter or whatever. And as you're saying this, like, that's just what's ringing in my head, is like, you know, that's what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And very, very successful, right? And then one of the biggest things that I say in the book here is that I simply want to give the example that, you know, considering growing up during one of the most difficult periods that you can be involved in is war. I really, you know, look at the Ukraine, and a lot of people maybe think what is happening there, once it is over, then everything goes back to normal. No, this will take generation after generation.
Absolutely,
The
yeah.
same people will never be the same again afterwards. No question about that. And, you know, and then in combination to all of that, it will affect their lives. It will affect, you know, the way they look at life, the way they interact with others. All of that is part of it. And then I say here is that, you know, being academically not very successful because of ADHD, and then feeling to start all over again, but feeling as a failure. It was not until I found out that this is what it was that I said, I finally know who I am.
Right.
You know? And, you know, so, and, but the amazing part about it, ADHD, is I'm a good writer. And I'm very good with numbers, you know, for some reason or another.
Yeah.
But I was not very good in school. And part of it is that people didn't understand, right?
Right. And well, you know, to write a book is it's no small achievement. It's very difficult, and it takes a lot of concentration and focus. And
Yeah.
I mean, look at you. You have 2 out, right? And
Yeah.
more on the way.
Well, the third one is already done and is
Yeah.
now at the printers. And the fourth one we are starting working on. Right now, I want to do one a year. for as long as I can at 82 and a half, nearly 83.
Yeah.
And so everything is possible, and a positive mind is very important, critical to it. And that's why I say, that attitude, avoid the negative, passion, find something that you like to do and then become very, very good at it. That's exactly what you say about sport. And then, then work ethic and what follows is success, right?
Right. Work ethic. Very important, right? Discipline. Stay on it, keep going. I tell people when they ask me or if, they'll allow me to give them advice, I'm like, showing up's the hardest part. Show up every day. And like once you show up, you're there, then you can work. And it's like however much you get done or what the quality of your work is that day, okay, but you showed up day after day and you get results.
Exactly.
It's like magic, right?
Yeah. And there are no secrets to it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Now, the other thing that we do is that I've been quite involved in the next book that I say to you that I'm working on is Living Young, Dying Old. And basically you're saying that at any age, really, the key is understanding your body. Don't be abusive of it. Mm-hmm. Stay involved actively, mentally and physically, and then try to avoid, the things that are bad for you. Stay active, and then try. A lot of people that I know of at 40 or 45, they say, "Well, I'm done."
Yeah.
Where's the couch? Where's the? Huh?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's becoming more popular now. Like, it seems to me like more and more people are, working out and saying, oh, like, I should actually probably sleep 8 hours a night and, maybe eat like whole foods and things that are good for me. And I think that's amazing. Like, I mean, more people, please, like, pack the gyms up, whatever. I'm happy to see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, with your students, you talk about diet as well.
Yeah, and I'm not any diet expert or nutritionist by any means, but it's something that with the athletes I'm very serious about. Dedication to the sport, I'm very serious. Like, having a fantastic skill set or technical ability or being a good boxer, it's not enough. Like, you have to live the life. You have to show up. You have to eat right. You have to train when I don't tell you to,
Right.
You have to sleep properly. If you want to do great things. And if you're fine with doing mediocre things, then fine. Show up to the couple classes.
Sleep is very important, right?
Right. Well, that's what I'm finding out. And it's something that I haven't done well for a lot of my life. But
I haven't either.
Yeah, I'm finding now that, like focusing on my sleep being good and doing the things to help myself do that, it's made a world of difference. Like mental sharpness.
So what do you say, 6 to 8 hours in that area?
Yeah,
it depends on individuals or?
Yeah, I think for myself, I like 6 to 8.
I do too.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's been helping me recently, and I'm not perfect at this, but the phone screen and stuff, like the screens at night and stuff like that, watching TV or scrolling on your phone till you go to bed. So my wife and I, we've been working to eliminate that kind of stuff and try to keep our sleep quality, and like we don't put a TV in our bedroom or anything, So sleep hygiene, I guess some people call it, but
So the other thing that I forget now who it was. I had a guest here, especially focusing on our next book, Living Young, Dying Old, is we talk more about lifestyles. Even from the time that you're relatively young, that how can you, start, we all go through a periods of, kind of not being quite committed and then kind of finding that passion or saying, I love it, like what you did at 12, 13. For other people, it takes longer. For me, it was relatively young in terms of that was always going to be part of it, and the other part was the lumber thing. I really became part of my life. That's what I wanted to do, but then it becomes understanding it, and then the problem that I found a lot of times with diet is there is so much information coming through
Right.
the layperson
Yeah,
from all the
absolutely,
directions. If you figure it out, you say, no, it should be this way.
Right, and some, super jack guy with no shirt on's yelling at you,
Yeah, yeah.
telling you to eat like a raw bull testicle or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it. I struggle with that too. I think that I eat pretty well. We try to stick to mostly whole foods and cook our meals, prep them and stuff like that. And then, like the information, like you said, it's like, oh, should we eat this sort of diet or the other? And I'm just like, whoa, man, it makes your head spin sometimes.
Right.
I tend to stick just whole foods. I love meat. I have there's some amazing local ranchers here. Fresh grass-fed beef, eggs, all the things. I get my eggs from a neighbor,
Yeah.
and I feel great when I'm eating that kind of food.
Yeah, and there's nothing better than fresh,
Oh
right?
man, yeah.
Yeah, and so that part again is very, very important. And then the other one is that, but I find for people that are struggling with self-confidence or to find something that they like and that they could be well good at, so that it all of a sudden gives them more purpose in life, because a lot of times it is the lack of being successful in some particular area
Right.
that they have difficulty finding a direction.
Yeah, I think that finding something you like helps a lot. I know, speaking for myself, I don't use motivation as a huge driving factor for me. I depend, my structure, my foundation is built on discipline. This is, I think this is something that young people and people in general don't do enough, but have a vision for your life, set goals, make a target and aim for that.
Right.
That's something Jordan Peterson says, and I love the guy. But, having a clear vision, you have something to shoot at. And then for me personally, when I have that, this is what I want my life to look like.
Right.
And, when I'm lazy and I don't get up to my alarm, or I miss a workout, or, I cheat on multiple meals for multiple days, it's like, am I steering my life in the direction of that? So personally for me, I'm not a hugely motivated guy. I'm not like, yeah, I want to go to jiujitsu every day and go to the gym in the morning. I don't. 90% of the time I don't, But I say, what is the vision? What do I want my life to look like, and who do I want to be, And that's enough for me to give myself a kick in the ass and say, you just got to go there.
Yeah.
Just show up there.
And I agree with you. And then the other part, Chase, is that in somebody that is as committed as you are, and with all the things that sometimes we have to kind of kick ourselves a little bit in the butt and saying, do this and stay the course, is you have to have a partner in your life that is supportive of that.
Right.
Talk about your wife a little bit.
we could do a podcast on her. My wife.
What's her name?
Nicolette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nicola?
Nicolette.
Less.
Yeah. So Nicolette.
Oh, Nicolette.
Nicolette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nicolette, yeah.
So, my wife is an amazing, beautiful woman, and, she's a lot of things that I'm not. We're similar where it matters, but we're different, and she's an entrepreneur. She owns her own online business. She comes from California. Actually, I met Nicolette in a leadership, I wouldn't say it was a conference. It was a program. It was a 3-month program where I was flying back and forth to California and doing these meetings. And that's where I met her. And she is just such a radiant individual, she used to say all the time that she's a ray of human sunshine. And I can completely agree with that. To be around her is uplifting, and it's great. And, the best thing is, John, is that she doesn't take any shit from me.
No.
If I'm slacking off, or if I am, being a baby too long, or attitude, like you said, that's something I struggle with, is if I sort of, if I'm acting scarce, or I'm acting like I can't do something, she won't take that from me. She says, hey, you, look at me, knock it off, man, get to work.
I can see the first time that you met her, and there you kind of somehow, what happened, you talked together, and so she said, where are you from, Chase? And then Chase said, Prince George. She said, where is that?
Yeah, exactly. I said, it's Near Vancouver. That's what you have to tell people because they don't know.
Yeah.
You know what though, about me and Nicolette is we met in January of 2020 and we were married at the end of May 2020. We knew each other for 5 months and we were married. You know, sometimes
it was one of those things.
It just
right?
happens, man.
You just knew.
Yeah.
That was I feel the same. You know, my wife's name is Sharon.
Yeah.
We've been together for 40 years, but you know that. We are very complementary in different ways, and I have a major amount of energy. And she said he has 10 times more energy than I have, and at the same time we're very complementary. She very conscientious about diet. She's a vegetarian. I'm probably got me pretty much there too. I'm an 80-20.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It feels good, right?
Yeah, and then we're very complementary in a lot of other things.
Yeah. I have to ask you about marriage, John, and about your wife. And I know I run into this, but I want to ask you. I am so busy and I work so hard and have all of these balls in the air at one time that sometimes my wife is just up to her limit with me. And I'm wondering how a man like yourself, so driven and successful doing all these things, how do you maintain, the marriage? Like how do you stay in it? How do you, tend to it? Like,
it's a very fair question, Chase. You know that I got married. This is the second marriage. My first marriage, I saw my dad, when he, not even managing his own company, how dedicated he was. He worked 7 days a week on that, and drank too much actually, which was not very good for him.
Right.
He was not all over the street, but he habitually.
Totally.
And part of that was PTSD because being in the war, couldn't talk about it, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And I always said to myself that I'm going to be an entrepreneur, work as hard as he does, but it would not be fair for me to get married. Right. So it took me, when I came to Prince George here, I was not married, and I got to know my first wife, and then, but initially I was not going to get married. And then, in all fairness, she's a beautiful lady, my first wife, and we had 2 daughters together, and but it was my entrepreneurship likely and my dedication to that life that was unfair to the relationship, and she couldn't handle it. And quite a couple of years later, I got to then be separated, and initially I have a lot of respect for her, and then still have a relationship. But then I met my today's wife, and so she knows that's who I am.
Right.
And we have found a way in which we can accept that part and accept her part. So she's quite involved. Sharon is in North Saanich, lived here with me in Prince George for many years. Then I bought another company in Alberta, and then we decided to have a place because I was working 7 days a week.
Right.
And that didn't really work. And so now what I do is on Friday afternoons at 2 o'clock, I catch the flight to Victoria. I'm there till either Monday morning or Sunday evenings. Most of the time till to Monday morning. And I spend 2 days with her and 2.5 days in North Saanich.
Yeah.
And then I have an office there. I can do stuff, and then still do some work that I do for the company.
Right.
But that's our time together.
That's your time,
and then the rest of the time I'm here, and I work usually 14, 15 hours a day, even now still.
Yeah, I'm so thankful for my wife and for our differences because, without her, I probably would work nonstop and never take a break, and then, everything would probably fall apart. So
that cannot, you must find that time to, I believe, to say, okay, but sometimes because of circumstances, I always felt when I was building the company, I had to do that, work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, but then it also becomes habitual potentially. And
Right.
even now, if I would not be here physically in town, or if I would be here physically in town, I would be 7 days a week at the mill. There's no question about that. I had to physically remove myself from here. And, but being an entrepreneur comes down to what you were saying. A lot of people misunderstand entrepreneurship. They think all you do is plan holidays and bring money to the bank. It isn't. It is very, very hard, especially when you build something up from the bottom. It's hard. It can be very hard around the people around you, and it has in my life been hard on my life as well. But now I'm able to do it in the relationship that we have, and it works for us.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, this is completely off topic, but I have a question for you. Your newest book that you're writing, the one you're writing, I believe. What's it called again?
Well, the one that's coming out is Finding Your Passion.
Right, and then
Living the Dream. The next one is Living Young, Dying Old.
Living Young, Dying Old. So I have a question for you about that, because we kind of talked about my perspective a bit. So yourself, you're an ambitious man. You're doing these bodybuilding competitions and working out rigorously.
Everything.
So tell me, as you get older, what is it like? How do you stay driven, and how do you stay committed to a path like that? Like what drives you? What makes you the person you are?
Yeah, it's a very good question, because I usually get up at 5:30 in the morning, and here by myself, because my wife is in during the weekend. I get up at 5:30. I always make my bed, and then I always feel I'm late already. So that's what I do.
I can relate to that feeling, yeah.
Yeah, and then I go to work, and then sometimes the days are not good and difficult and all kinds of challenges, but I say the book that is now coming out, Finding Your Passion, Living the Dream. A fair question would be, say, okay, John, are you living your dream after all of this? I sure am, even still today. And even looking at all the ups and downs, and there were some real downs, and even now still there are challenges, but no question about that. And so what motivates me is that I'm very goal-oriented, I think, and I love to see things going well. Love to be around a company and being proud of. It's not money or anything like that, but just being proud of what you do.
Yeah, and also the opportunities that you give to other people. Like you have a company full of people who are, making a living for themselves and their family too, right?
And then the other part, Chase, is that there is no question in my mind. I've been all over the world. There is no place like Canada. There is no place on earth. And then there is no place in Canada like BC, and unique to BC is too many people in Vancouver to a certain extent, although I don't mind it, but I love northern British Columbia. And I've been here now nearly 60 years. When I came here, it was my $25.47. I looked around and said, where do I go from here? Immense opportunities, even still today. And then looking around, this morning I saw a cougar in our yard, right in the middle of town. I have no idea where he came from. It's been hanging around, my people tell me. Then as we drove, it's within a stone throw from here, 80,000 people living here. We can drive out north here for half an hour or an hour, and we will see 100 or 200 lakes. Take your pick.
Yeah, exactly.
We have natural forest. We can see deers, we can see moose, we see everything.
Right, the moose that just shut down the highway the other day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Amazing.
I was, the other day, I was hanging out with my wife and my dog, and we were sitting on the couch or whatever, and we look outside, and sure enough, it's the middle of winter, and here comes this moose down our road because it's plowed. And they're incredible animals. The thing's back is so tall. It effortlessly walks over my neighbor's fence. It doesn't have to jump or anything, just steps right over it. its back is as tall as the roof of my neighbor's truck, and I'm just like, I'm just watching it just for 15 minutes.
Can you imagine that? You know,
Amazing.
and so that's all close by. And then the other part about being here, nobody asked me here ever from the day that I got here as to what education do you have? How come you got an accent? Or initially when I came, I could speak the language. And people are always willing to help. And then if you want to be successful, it's tough and hard, no different than, but there are huge opportunity. And if you want to put in the commitment, and it's not easy for entrepreneurship, anything is possible. Then it becomes a question of weighing and saying, what really do I want to do? What works for my life, my family? Right. And, I was a cleanup man, I was a lumber pilot, I did all of those things. And I have a lot of respect for those individuals. That's why I say, me being an entrepreneur and looking like saying, oh my God, I have great respect for people that are cleanup people. They are so committed to what they are doing in their job. I think it's amazing how committed. Right. It always reminds me of this one guy, just to tell you this, is that when my dad managed a smaller lumber company in Holland, and he had this older fellow, who am I to say, he's probably younger than me, so he hired him because he was very good at being a lumber planer man, running the planer, but we had to pick him up from his house by car and then in the evening bring him back. But he was well worth it for my dad to have him. And I always remember the guy. So then I had to drive him down. So I had to go pick him up. And 5:30 or whatever the time was, usually at the same time. I go to the plane mill. I sit there with my car, stand there and waiting for him, looking inside. And there he's standing there with a cloth and coal oil and rubbing down the equipment. And then the amazing thing that I always found is then he would stand there and he'd be standing there looking at the machine. And he would just stand there and look at it. I thought, what the hell is he doing? He just stands there. And then he turned around, come down to the car, didn't say anything to me, step in the car, and then say, let's go. Okay, let's go, and drop him off. And I said, well, see you tomorrow. Yeah.
Right.
But what it showed me is commitment to his job and the pride that he had in the equipment. He would just stand there and say, yeah, everything looks good, ready to go for tomorrow.
Right.
Those are the kind of things that I think are important. And so therefore, if you're an entrepreneur, or you're a multi-millionaire, or whatever you are, or all the other things, those are all secondary. But are important. Are you committed to the job, whatever it is you have chosen, and then do you give it all that you can? That to me is important.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Interesting story.
Yeah.
But it's funny to recognize like those people are around and they're doing thankless jobs wholeheartedly, and I think that's beautiful. I think that if you are lucky enough, or you can summon the courage to try and find something that you're truly passionate about, then pouring yourself wholeheartedly into it, it becomes like, that's one thing I really love about entrepreneurship, is when it's like that, it's mine. And, I get to take a sense of pride in it, that
exactly.
It's so important to me. My gym and the people in it and what I'm doing, it's so important to me. And I just get to pour myself into that and like really enjoy it and make the most of it.
But you can see, Chase, even when I was there, that the commitment, and then from the people that make their commitment, not simply because they wanted to do what you have to offer, but it's you that is giving it everything, and the interaction between the people around you and wanting to learn from what you have to offer, because they respect what you do and they respect how committed you are to it.
Yeah. And well, thank you for saying that.
No,
and
it's true.
You know what, like, it's me, but I've been blessed too. Like, the people who have come to me and the people who have committed, like, our team is fantastic, and it's full of people that I'm truly proud to know, and I'm truly proud to be a part of their journey. And so, all of us together make Wolves Den Boxing Gym what it is.
Yeah.
And everywhere we go, every competition we go to, people are impressed with our professionalism, our politeness, our skills, everybody's heart,
Respect,
yeah, exactly. And it's fantastic to be involved with individuals like that. It makes it really special, and the whole team makes it what it is. Like,
exactly. And then the other thing that I saw is the name, Wolves Den Boxing Club. Where did that come from?
Well, I actually have a tattoo of a wolf on me.
Yeah.
But I think they're just, first of all, I think it sounds cool. So
Yeah,
it's cool.
I think it does too.
So there's that, and then also I think I like wolves. I always have. I think they're special, and I like, I like that they're pack-driven animals, and they're kind of like, I don't know if you've ever watched them in person or in video or whatever. They're majestic, and the coordination of them as a team, as a pack, and the way that they communicate and live in sort of a harmony. It's just like, I love it. It's beautiful.
Amazing, really,
Yeah.
And animals all together, that what we were saying here in regards to all what we have around here, being part of their kingdom, really, for all intents and purposes.
Right.
We are not meant to necessarily, well, we are meant, maybe we are, but this belongs to them in a way. And then the key becomes, how can we be part of that with them? And like you said, the moose, the deer, the
bears, they're gonna eat all your garbage.
And that's the other part.
Strap your cans.
Yeah. And then right by us, I live on Northern Chaco. They're right by the river, and it's not uncommon to see black bears cross the Northern Chaco. It's very normal. Right?
Yeah. I have a little bugger that every fall he comes around to terrorize my neighborhood, and the stinker, man, tears our garbage cans apart. But it's like, you know what? He's doing bear stuff, and I'm mad about it. They're very brave, fun to watch too.
So, if you now look forward to where you are, what do you see for Chase?
Right. Well, it's an interesting question, and it's a particularly difficult one because obviously my life and my vision is a shared vision with my wife.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that as a man and as a person has been very difficult for me. Like, it's critical, like you said, and it's been difficult to navigate because we both want certain things. So as for the future, well, I mean, I'd like to be a bigger part of Boxing BC if possible, and I'd like to give my wife, the part of life that she wants. She loves being in Prince George and being a part of the community, and being a part of my team and doing that stuff. But she hates winter. She hates winter. It's a little too long for her. Snow is beautiful and she likes it, but it's a little long. I hope that we can figure out what it means to sort of become snowbirds and still have amazing, successful businesses and still affect people's lives. I love Boxing BC. It's full of great people, so I'd like to become a part of that. And in the near future, at the beginning of this year, just for some context, I made a commitment to myself, okay, it's time to focus on the business and buckle down a bit. So in the near future, the back half of 2023 here, I'm going to be looking to do some more jiu-jitsu competitions and challenge myself in that way again. Yeah.
To keep the challenge, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that is a critical part of your life.
Right.
And then as I haven't met you, I'd like to meet you at some point.
Oh man, and you guys would get along great.
Yeah. And saying that, she being entrepreneurial as well, how can you find something that does both? Because there are enough elements between the two of you that it should be able to go in a similar, not the same, but a similar direction.
Right.
And what I see these days, is that I did that to a certain extent in my own life, is saying all of a sudden I started to write books. So let me take it back a little bit. I want to share this with you. I was 50 years old. had the company, you know, everybody was saying, "Oh, you're doing so great," and blah 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 and blah. I was not. I felt I was being a failure, and you know, because of what happened in Holland, and
Right.
I kind of felt that way. Although I was happy-go-lucky guy, I'm always kind of, but deep down, I felt I had failed. And then you know, and then interacting with people, I was not very good at that. I could talk to about 2 or 3 people around my setting at the mill, but soon as I came into the public, I had difficulty interacting.
Right.
I was too self-conscientious, didn't feel the confidence in myself about
Right. Yeah.
whatever they talked about and whatever they knew, and I just kind of was there. Pure coincidence what happened, my ex-sister-in-law dragged me to Toastmasters. And I said,
Amazing.
why would I want to go there? Well, you will like it and blah, blah, blah. I said, are they going to ask me anything? She said, no. You can just sit there and watch. Okay. And what are they doing? Well, they're interacting. You can get a feel of it. See what you think. So I went down there and reluctantly, and I sat down and I heard him interacting, and then somebody said, "And so John, tell us a little bit about you." He said, oh my God, you know. Anyway,
Right. Here we go.
here we go. And so then after that, I said, I'll never go there again, you know. So, but I did the following week, and then I went for 10 years, and then I became one of the most active Toastmasters, and I became competitive speaker and all over the place. It changed my life, Toastmasters,
Yeah.
in the 10 years. In addition to finding out about ADHD and Toastmasters, it changed me as an individual my whole life. And then turning that forward, I became a DTM Distinguished Toastmaster. There are probably about 400,000 Toastmasters that are active in clubs. There's probably 6 clubs around Prince George and all over the place. And then there are probably 4, 5, 6, 7 million Toastmasters at different levels that have gone through that. You don't have to go all the way as I did.
Right.
And probably less than 1%, between half and 1%, end up to be distinguished Toastmasters. So I became very good at it, and I became a very, very active speaker. And so today, I'm a professional speaker. I speak wherever an opportunity presents itself, here and other places. I'm a writer, and I'm probably the most active podcaster, may well be in Canada, because I can't find anybody that is as active doing 3 podcasts a week like I do, and all different discussions.
Yeah. Well, it's your superpower, like you talked about, right?
It's the superpower.
Yeah.
And then, but all stuff that I couldn't have done in the early stage in my life. So it is evolving as you speak. And in terms of my lumber company, not much fun right now, but it will survive. I have about 10 different companies. The main silos are lumber, warehousing and logistics, and the other one is real estate, residential, commercial, and industrial, and then a number of other companies. And doing all of that together, that's what I do at 82 and a half. And I want to double the size of my company. I want to, I'm still the oldest competitive bodybuilder in North America, apparently. I want to compete again in the art. Why not? So what I'm basically saying, Chase, is that because of some of those things that happen, and then looking at my book and saying that if he can do it, anybody can do it. You know, and I would hope that as people listen to you and me, from your experiences and mine, saying, yeah, that's what I want to get. I want to find that passion, get committed. Entrepreneurship, absolutely, I encourage everybody. Do not accept or believe that it will be easy. But then the other thing that I would say, and I say to you as well, because you asked me the question, find a way and making sure that your relationship, is balanced so that it is, because if you don't have that, that is one of the most important things in your life, and that will really enhance your ability to do things, but it has to be in the right balance.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, I think, being open to the journey of life as it unfolds is important to me, and the shared life and the shared vision that my wife and I have, it's constantly being defined. And like you said, who knows what's going to happen in life and where you're going to be. So I'm open.
The most important part to you is that relationship.
Yeah, it is very important to me.
Cheers.
John, thank you.
Yeah.
And let me get you a gift here. This might not be the right size, but I brought a few sizes.
Oh my God.
Special little shirt for you here. Maybe
I'm going to put it on right now.
It up. Oh, you're going to put it on. What size do you wear, John?
Large, extra large.
Only size I don't have, but
okay.
I'll give you a large and let's see how it fits. And
I can put it on top on this one, right?
You probably got a weight cut coming up for the
yeah,
bodybuilding, right?
No, yeah.
Let's see. Plus, if it's a little tight, it'll accentuate the muscles.
Oh no, it's no worry. Hey guys, I just look. Hey, first class. Thanks, Nish.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, buddy. So I'm going to sign this book for you. And, okay. To Chase. I signed the other one already for you, right? Mm-hmm. All the best. And then as soon as the other one comes out in about a month, I'm going to make sure that we get you a copy of that as well. So...
Well, I appreciate it, John. Give you some inspiration to read. Thank you. Thank you.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah, mine as well.
Thank you.
It was an honor.
My long-term goals is to eventually go pro and win a world title. My short-term goals right now is just to become an open fighter and maybe get some belts under me. My coach, Chase, pushes us really, really hard. Like, we'll do wall sits for like 10 minutes straight, then only breaks we get is to do 10 squats or like some technical drills, or we'll just do some harsh arm conditioning. Just lots of cardio work for fights. Last fight we did, we would do hill sprints, all that really gross stuff.
Yeah, typically we warm up, just get loosened up a little bit, and then right away we start with some drills that will kind of warm up the eyes and the reflexes for sparring. And then we just take those drills and we kind of ramp them up to a more competitive level while training safely. And then after that, I like to exhaust them and make them do very basic movements when they're very tired, so that it just becomes second nature to them when it happens.
I had the opportunity to spar with Braden. He was gentle with me, I should say, but it is quite a sport, and we are very impressed with you. And as Scott already said earlier, we have been selecting potential athletes that are putting in a lot of effort and trying to put everything into the sport, and that's why we chose you. I said to Scott, I'm going to have to go down there, and I want to kind of get the feel of it, put the gloves on, and kind of spare with you a little bit. And we wish you all the best, not only in Quesnel, but also as you go forward in life and in the boxing career.
Thank you.